Hello, this is me, Colton Lynn, and my partner, Filip Angelovsky's project of classical conditioning using my cats. And before we get started, we were going to do higher order conditioning with the crinkling of the bag of treats and then the bell, but it became a little bit too confusing for my cats, so we switched it just to the ringing of the bell. So the natural behavior of my cats is that they love treats. That's the unconditioned stimulus, the UCS, and it naturally triggers a response without any training. And then we also have the unconditioned response. The UCR is having my cat's mouth water or them getting excited or sniffing around for a treat, and that is a natural unlearned reaction. As you can see so far in the video, we introduced a bell, which is our neutral stimulus, and I was training them so that every time they would hear the ringing of this bell or the cat toy, they would assume that I was giving them a treat. And that's what I trained them to do over approximately 45 minutes to an hour. What you've been seeing so far in this video is the acquisition phase. I'm repeatedly using the neutral stimulus, which was the bell, and the unconditioned stimulus, which is the treat. And when I would ring the bell, I would immediately give them the treat. And you could see over multiple videos, they slowly start to learn. At least the gray cat Romeo started to pick up a little bit more on the ringing of the bell, followed by the treat. As we start to see throughout the video, the bell is not a neutral stimulus anymore, but is now a conditioned stimulus. So it is a sign for treats in his mind. And now his conditioned response is that he will start getting excited. He'll start sniffing everywhere for treats. I also noticed later on that he would start rubbing against my leg and aggressively sniffing around for these treats. So a little quick overview of what we've covered so far is the unconditioned stimulus is the treat. The unconditioned response is my cats getting excited over food, their mouth salivating, and just getting excited for the food. The neutral stimulus and the conditioned stimulus is the bell. And the conditioned response for the bell is now when they hear the bell running towards me and sniffing the ground and salivating. So what would generalization look like in this scenario? So for example, if I grabbed a different toy and rang it, or say if I ring the doorbell or a sound similar but using something different, and my cat would still come running and still have the same conditioned response, he would be generalizing, and he would assume that any bell-like sound would mean treats. On the other hand, discrimination is pretty opposite to that, and that would mean if my cat learned that only this specific toy being wrong means a treat, and he ignores things like another toy, or my example was the doorbell, then he is showing discrimination, and he realizes that there is a difference between the multiple different stimuli. Extinction would look like if I had continued to ring this toy, ring the bell multiple times. Let's just say I rung it like 20, 30 times, and I stopped giving him treats. And eventually his conditioned response, which would be running over, sniffing the ground, expecting a treat, will start to die out, and he will learn that this ringing of the bell is meaningless, and he will stop coming. Spontaneous recovery would be after extinction occurs. So say I stopped using the bell or wouldn't give him a treat after the bell and waited for a good amount of time after that, and say I ring the bell a month later. there is a possibility that he will like perk up, come running to the sound of the bell, thinking that he's going to receive a treat, which means that his condition response wasn't forgotten because of extinction, but it was actually just like suppressed. Lastly, we will be going over the difference between classical conditioning, which is this experiment, and operant conditioning. In classical conditioning, which was this experiment, the cat is learning to associate two different stimuli, which was the bell and the treat. I am not teaching my cat how to do anything. He already knows how to run to food, but I'm teaching him that the bell that I'm ringing, one stimulus, is connected to me giving him food, which is why after I ring the bell, he comes to me. On the other hand, operant conditioning is a voluntary behavior with a reward or punishment. And this is focusing on what happens after the cat does something. If I were to do an operant conditioning experiment on my cat that is similar to the classical conditioning experiment, I would have him ring the bell, and then I would give him a treat rather than me ringing a bell and then giving him a treat. In classical conditioning, it is involuntary behavior from the cat, while in operant conditioning, it is voluntary behavior. And also in classical conditioning, I would control ringing the bell, giving him a treat, and in operant conditioning, the cat rings the bell and then receives a treat. This experiment was consensual, as in two of my cats decided not to participate and opt out of this experiment.
He heard your voice. Data's skewed. Oh no.